Hey Rob, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. How you doing?
Good. I'm disappointed there's not a roaring fireplace in the background this time.
Sorry, my place doesn't have a fireplace.
Oh, mine either.
It's upsetting.
Fireplace envy. Alrighty. So coming into this season, you're champion. Does it feel different this time around?
Yeah, I think so. It's like obviously I'm the champion from last year, and I think last year I wasn't very well known coming into it. But obviously now I've got a target on my back, and I think there's a bit more pressure on me to continue to do well. But yeah.
Did your life change at all? I know that's like a silly question maybe, but some people have say, people stop me on the street or family called and asked for money. Like did anything change now that you won $1 million?
I mean, a few people back home in Hobart were stopping me on the street and saying congratulations. But apart from that, and apart from doing a few more interviews and a bit more media, I feel like everything's the same. Yeah,
Do you kind of prefer that?
yeah, definitely. I enjoy my life, and I just like training and fighting, and obviously it's nice having some money in the bank and having that world title at home. But yeah, I'm just keen to do it again.
Did you buy anything fun with your $1 million or interesting?
Not really. I went to Mexico for 2 weeks after the fight. Um, I've saved most of it, like saving it to look at buying an investment property back home. But I'm back in Denver now, and I did buy myself a Porsche to drive around. So
You bought a Porsche?
yeah, it wasn't crazy expensive, but it was a Porsche Macan S. So um, like not a brand new one, a 2018 Porsche Macan S. So last year I was just renting cars, and it's like $1,500 a month just to rent a car. So
Yeah.
I bought that and thought when I'm done in Denver, I can just sell it and go home. Yeah,
How's that going to do in the snow, or are you not going to have it by the time it snows?
it's the small SUV, so it's all
Oh, the
wheel drive.
SUV. Okay. I'm thinking of the sports car. Well, okay, that's more practical.
Yeah, yeah. I need an SUV in Denver for sure.
Yeah. And I know we touched on this already a little bit, like coming into the season as a champion, and I know like the belt's not on the line, it's not like you're gonna lose it or anything, but do you feel like going into it, you kind of have to defend it, even though it's not really something you have to defend? If that makes sense?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like I'm kind of making my first title defense, and I know it's not a title fight, but I just want to make a big statement, and I'm fighting probably the biggest name in the division coming into this year for the light heavyweights, and I'm sure there's a lot of eyes on him. So I think it's a really good fight for me to go out there and get a good finish and make a statement to show that I'm the best light heavyweight there is.
Was there any I don't know if disappointment is the right word, but any kind of like there's no build up, we have the two biggest names in the division fighting the very first fight in the first round. It does it sort of feel like, I wish I could have like built up to this. Are you excited to be able to do this right away and get it out of the way?
I'm not fast. My kind of thought to do this fight straight away, go out there and finish Santos, and then I kind of in my mind I want to make everyone scared to fight me, and go put a dominant performance against Santos, and then have a cruisy way to the finals.
How do you kind of see that fight with him going? Do you think you can get in and out of there pretty quickly, or do you kind of envision it being a 3 round war?
I usually visualize everything, so I can see myself, getting it done in the first round. But I know he's very tough and experienced, and he's had a lot of fights where he's hard to finish. So I can see it going 3 rounds, or I can see myself getting it done early. Yeah, it kind of really depends. He's been pretty defensive and not too engaging in his last few fights. So sometimes it is hard to get going, or when someone's always on the back foot, not really engaging to kind of get something going. So we'll see what he does, and we'll see what happens in the fight. But ooh, we lost you. I
Oh, sorry.
don't know what happened. Oh, there you are. Sorry.
Yep. There's a few UFC fighters that are coming over into PFL making their debut this season. And I've asked a couple of the PFL veterans how they feel about there's a little bit of a stigma or like fans are always trying to compare, PFL and UFC or UFC and Bellator or whoever. And there's a little bit of a, if the PFL fighter beats the UFC fighter, it proves that PFL is better all around. I mean, is there any pressure there that you kind of have to defend a little bit of PFL when you fight him?
I mean, I think PFL fighters have done that time and time again with lots of your guys leaving the UFC, especially kind of on the tail end of their career and coming over to the UFC looking to, either win a title or make some money and think they might have easier fights or whatever it is, and just don't go very well at all. And we've seen that over and over again. So I look forward to doing that again, but I don't think there's any pressure on me. I mean, maybe a little pressure, obviously. Yeah, I want to show that, PFL, there's in any of the big promotions, the top fighters are very good. And the top fighters could compete in the top 10 in the UFC or whatever it is. But same as Bellator. There's good fighters everywhere, not just in the UFC, but UFC's just got the bigger name, I guess. And people kind of tend to think that they're the best fighters in the world. But I think going out there and finishing Santos, especially getting a dominant finish and dominant fight over him, does kind of prove a lot, because he's been fighting the top 5 in the UFC pretty much for his last 5 fights, and people haven't been able to finish him, or maybe finish him late, and still kind of competitive fight. So if I can go and dominate him, it kind of shows a lot what level I'm on.
And I don't think you've fought in Vegas yet. Is that correct?
No, I haven't. First time, yeah.
Are you excited to kind of fight in the fight capital of the world, see what it's like?
Yeah, definitely. That's one of the places I've definitely wanted to fight. New York, MSG was I'd have ticked 2 out of the 4 off after this one.
And I'm not sure if you saw the UFC was there in that same venue a few weeks back. Did you happen to catch it and kind of see how the layout was? Because it was a really, really unique and fun venue.
Yeah, I did see it, and a few of the guys at the gym have said they fought there, and it's a really good venue. So I'm looking forward to that.
Does the venue really matter at all to you guys?
I mean, once you're in there, no, but
Yeah.
I think a smaller venue when it's kind of filled is a much better feeling, because it feels like it's packed, it's noisy. You can kind of hear the crowd, where I fought sometimes in like really big venues and they've only had like a few thousand people in there. And then it kind of feels way more empty. So I prefer smaller, packed venues for sure.
Did you like the element of having to like walk through the crowd to get to the cage? You can kind of interact with people a little bit more. Was that kind of something that interests you at all?
It's funny, I was talking about this recently, and I used to think it was cool, like how the PFL and sometimes Bellator do it, where you kind of walk out on the stage and your name, and you can kind of shadow box or do whatever, and then you walk into the cage. But also in those big stadiums, when you kind of get to walk through the crowd for ages, that's, I guess, yeah, it's cool in its own. It's different, but yeah, I like them both.
And you kind of touched on this already, but do you feel like this is going to be the hardest fight for you this tournament, or do you feel like there's a couple other guys that you're looking forward to fighting coming up?
I think there's definitely going to be tough fights. I think this is like the biggest name. Honestly, I don't think his last few fights have been that impressive. So if he's kind of fighting how he has in his last few, I don't think it would necessarily be the toughest fight I have all year, but it's definitely the biggest name, biggest fight for it to start off the year.
And is there a name that you're looking forward ahead that you're thinking might be the toughest, or somebody you're like particularly interested in fighting beyond him?
I do really want to fight Shoeface, but I'm not sure. I heard he was going to be in the second round, but then maybe I'm not sure if that's happening anymore.
I don't think so.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it. I thought that's what he was originally doing, but I mean, I only want to fight him just because he won it the year before me. So I wanted to fight him last year to kind of beat the champion, and I didn't get the chance to do that because he got injured. And so I was hoping to do it this year, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen either. I am looking forward to it because the card looks like the roster looks like it's all new fighters pretty much. There's only Monty that I fought before, and everyone else is a new opponent, which yeah, that excites me.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
That's all good.
Enjoy that Porsche.